All right, let's get started in child's pose. Where's Jill? Oh, nice. Toes together, knees open. You're welcome. Arms forward and your forehead down to your mat. You've done the best thing that you could do for yourself today, which is roll out your mat, get down on your mat, and start to put your attention on your breathing. Take a deep breath in, hold that for just a beat, and then a steady exhale. And hold that. Now keep flowing, building your breath with an inhale, a pause, an exhale, and a pause. Your breath alone will be an example this morning of stepping out of your comfort zone. No matter what, you've come in with one style of breathing and you'll create something different for sure around your breathing. Utilize your next inhale to lift your body up into downward facing dog. When you get into the downward facing dog, begin to bend and straighten your knees and start to stretch out your legs, your feet, your toes. Do it all to the rhythm of your breathing. Start to get on purpose about matching your physical movements. Good morning, April, to your breath. In fact, inhale and tippy toe up as high as you can on your tippy toes, and then exhale, bend your knees down to hover over your ankles and stretch your feet. Inhale, lift your hips up high, and then exhale, press your heels down into the mat. Let's do that a couple of times. Inhale, tippy toe. Exhale, hover your knees. Inhale, lift your hips up high, and exhale, press your heels one more time. Inhale, tippy toe. Exhale, bend your knees to hover. I love that stretching feeling on my toes. Inhale, lift your hips up, and exhale, press your heels down. Now walk your hands back to your feet. Fold here. Feet as wide as you want them to be, but parallel. Fold your arms and hold the opposite elbow and just hang. No need right now to be challenging your flexibility. Just bring your breathing in, set your gaze, and start to let the whole back side of your body warm up. Work together with your breathing. Create your own breath so that you can hear it, you can feel it moving in your body, and then the people around you can hear it as well. That's going to take something from you, something specific, something out of the comfort zone to start to just open yourself up like that right away. Then place your hands on the mat, walk back to the downward facing dog. Once you get there, take one breath in, one breath out. Walk your hands back to your feet, hang in forward fold. Take one breath in and one breath out. Hands on the mat, walk back to the downward facing dog. Take one breath in and one breath out. Walk your hands back to your feet, forward fold. Take one breath in and one breath out. Walk your hands up to downward facing dog. Take one breath in and one breath out. Walk your feet up to your hands. When you get there, inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, hang. Fingertips to the ground. Walk your fingertips over to the right, beyond your baby toe. Straighten your left knee. Let your right knee be soft and let your head hang down. You might feel a lot of stretch in your left lower back. Take a breath in and a sigh. And then walk your fingertips to the opposite side, all the way over to the left. Straighten your right leg and let your head hang here. Take a deep breath in and a sigh. Come back to the center. Take your time. Press your feet into the mat. Press them until you can feel fire in your hips, the muscles of your hips warming up. Keep pressing. And then as you exhale, come rolling up to standing. One bone lifting at a time until you can lift your gaze and sweep your arms overhead. Stretch up, look up, lift up, then bring your hands to prayer position at the center of your chest. Set your gaze on one point at the front of the room. Set an intention for your practice. Recall the theme of the week this week is presence. 3 times we'll chant Om together. Take a deep breath in. Om. Inhale, reach up to the ceiling or the sky. Exhale, fold down to the floor. Inhale, lift halfway. As you exhale, high plank to low, you can step or jump. Inhale, upward facing dog. Lift your chest, straight arms. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths work together. 2 more. Now the last one, inhale. On the exhale, bend your knees and look, then jump up to your hands. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale and fold. Press your feet into the mat. Stand up, extended mountain pose. Reach up, fold to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, lift up halfway. Really press your feet into the ground. Now low plank. You can drop right down into it. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. So breathe in, breathe out. Keep breathing. Set the foundation of the pose by pressing all of your knuckles into the mat. Exhale and empty. Then look to your hands. Jump up to your hands. Halfway lift. Inhale. Forward fold. Inhale. Reach up. Stretch the edge of your breath. Exhale. Fold to the floor. Inhale. Lift up halfway. Low plank on the exhale. Upward facing dog. Breathe in. Downward facing dog. Breathe out. Now full breath in. Sink your heels down. Exhale. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Here's the last one. Breathe in. Bend your knees. Look forward. Now jump. Halfway lift. Press your heels into the mat. Fold. Press your feet down. Reach to the ceiling. Stretch back. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Halfway lift. Low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. You'll start to feel the breath pace quickening. That might be a little faster than what you're comfortable with. Get present to it and step out of your comfort zone into the breath. 1 more inhale. Exhale, bend your knees, jump to your hands. Halfway lift and fold. 1 more time. Stand up, reach up and go back. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Halfway lift, low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. In the downward dog, let's breathe. You might have this opportunity here to stretch out the base of your pose. 1 more inhale. Exhale, look forward, jump to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair pose, press your feet, reach, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward and lunge. Anchor the back edge of your back foot. Hands to the floor, low push up. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Left foot, step forward. Warrior 1, lunge and reach. Reach your elbows, wrists, and fingers. Hands down, low push up. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take 1 deep breath in, a full breath out, look forward, jump to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair pose, sit, reach, fold. Halfway lift, low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Right foot forward, lunge. Reach up and go back. Hands down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Left foot step, bend your knee a lot and reach. Hands down, low push up. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in. Fully exhale, look forward, jump to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair pose, sit and reach, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low push up, just drop right down. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, right foot forward, step out of your comfort zone. Lunge deep, reach, hands down, low push up. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, left side, step, anchor, lift, whole belly stretching, hands down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. We'll take one more. So inhale, exhale, look forward and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold, chair pose, sit and reach, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low push up. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, right foot forward. Inhale, lift up. Hands down, chaturanga. You're doing great. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, left side. Step, lunge, reach up, lift up, hands down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog and rest. Whenever you feel like the practice is getting a little bit away from you, you have this tool of taking a breath in and a sigh to start leveling out your system again, bringing your heart rate down, catching your breath. Raise your right leg into the air behind you. Bend your knee, bring your heel to your hip, and flip the pose over till your 2 feet are on the floor. Then reach up and overhead. See if as you press down into your hand, you can lift up out of your shoulder like that. That's it, Kevin. And then if you can reach to the floor for the wheel, take the wheel pose. One more breath here. Side plank. Bring your right hand to the mat. Face the street if you're in the studio. So the left side of your mat, and stack your body up. While your hand presses down into the ground, your whole right hand, let your body float up and get a little lighter. Then lift your top leg off of your bottom leg, or even reach for your big toe and extend your leg up in the air. 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. Now gracefully high plank to low. It's tempting to just drop out of that. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Now you can always take child's pose for an additional rest whenever you want to, especially if this is your back for the first time in a long time. Left leg in the air. Bend your knee, heel to your hip, and flip the pose over. 2 feet to the floor. Your secret weapons when the physicality is rising for you, your heart rate is beating, your breath is getting short, is the sigh. In any pose, to get more space, is the sigh to relax your system. Then hand to the floor, left hand, face the right side of the room for side plank and stack your body up. If you notice you're holding your breath, take the sigh and start to breathe again. Then accelerate the pose if you've got a little more available. Lift your top leg. So your hand, press your hand down, Josh, and let your body get light. Yes, just like that. High plank to low, such a difference. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Step your right foot forward to crescent lunge. Arms overhead. Set your gaze on one point and get your breath flowing. You can always drop your back knee down as a modification to this pose, but from wherever you are, knee down or up, stretch up and go back. Take a deeper lunge to lift up a little higher, look up high, and then lift. Yeah, as high as you can. Maybe reach for the wall behind you, Femi. That's it, Ruben. Lunge deep. Hands to prayer position at the center of your chest. Twist to the right side of the room. So anchor your left elbow to your right knee. Once your elbow's touching your knee, then fire up your back leg so your left hip lifts a little bit. You can open your arms. So reach to the floor with your left arm, reach to the ceiling with your right arm, and then breathe. If you take your top arm around behind your back, then roll open your chest and shoulder. That's it, Mike. 2 more breaths. 1 more. Stay here for the whole last breath, the whole exhale. Crescent lunge to warrior 2. Face the left side of the room, left side of your mat, warrior 2. So lunge deep. When you lunge deep, you can stack your knee on top of your ankle, and then you may notice there's just a little more space in the pose. And the easiest way to access that is in your left foot, to keep your big toe on the ground, but lift your heel and just swing your heel out to the back end of your mat, another 1/4 of an inch and lunge. Then tilt for extended side angle. Reach for the floor and reach for the ceiling. Once you get into the extended side angle, you get the stretch, then wrap your top arm around behind your back. You'll want your shoulder to roll open. Then you can reach under your front leg and fully bind the pose. You just hold hands outside of your hip. Then your hands can press into your hip while your arm draws your knee back, and lift your chest just like that, Kevin. Lunge and lift your chest up and open. Stay right there. That's something else, right? Keep breathing. Stretch it right here. Hands to the floor, chaturanga. Really good work. It's what you want at the end of the pose, this sense of like, whoa, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. And here you take a rest and you take the sigh and get your system ready. And usually what needs to get ready in your system is your thinking. If you find your mind is really full, be willing to come apart, to let it go, not have a whole controlled sense of it. Left foot forward crescent lunge. Arms overhead. So if you let yourself take a big rest in that downward dog, now bring yourself into the practice here more deeply by setting your gaze and bringing your breath. Take a deep lunge and reach up and go back. Then hands into prayer position, twist to the left, so toward the street in the studio. Right elbow to your left knee. Really lunge. Make a lot of length by your back, hip pulling back, and your chest moving forward. There you go, Cece. Power up your back legs. You can open your arms, reach for the floor, reach for the ceiling. That's it. Wrap your top arm around behind your back. Now, as you breathe, just let your shoulder roll open. There you go. 2 more breaths. Breathe into your back, right ribs. That's it. Reach back up for the crescent lunge. Nice work, Rob. Turn to the right, warrior 2. Keep your breath steady. Without using your eyes, just your inner felt sense, put your attention on your feet for a moment. Press your big toe down into the mat, pick up your heel and swing it out behind you. Oh, that really gets your inner thigh stretching. Tilt for extended side angle. Sometimes I'll think about this in this pose. My front leg's inner thigh from the groin out to the knee, the inner thigh line stretching while the outer thigh line's pulling back. Wrap your top arm around, half bind or full bind. That's it. Ruben, hold hands behind your hip there. You got it. Even if you have to really fold forward to get the hand bind, then as you're breathing and exhaling, you can ease your chest up. So lift your chest, Kevin. I already know you can do that. You'll get it by pressing your hip toward the cubbies. Press your knee toward the street. Last breath for your whole side body to be long. Hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take just 1 breath in. Exhale and look forward. Jump up to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold, chair pose, twist to the right. So hands to prayer, twist to the right side of the room, left elbow, right knee. You're going to need your breath. So bring a flow to your breathing. The right knee, bring your right knee more forward while your left hip draws more back. Then while you're breathing here, breathe and open your back left rib cage. Yes, that's it, Josh. 3 more breaths. If you want to open your arms, you can do that. 2 more. Tug of war. Stay here for the last one. Chair pose, reach up. Forward fold. Open your feet hip width distance. Hook your big toes. Stretch your chest down toward your toes. This is a really nice place to dial back the effort physically and catch your breath. Not only catch your breath, but be refreshed. You might like to take a sigh right here and then chair twist to the other side. Sit back, hands to prayer, twist toward the left, toward the street in the studio. You got it. Really squat down low. Usually takes a little bit of extra attention to bring your left knee forward and your right hip back. And then keep stretching and opening your back right rib cage. You can open your arms, bind, keep the prayer hands. It's up to you. 3 more breaths. Sit deep. Laura, sit a little deeper. 2 more breaths. Right in here. Last breath. Stretch that right side body and twist. Forward fold. Gorilla pose. So stand on your palms, hands right under your feet from the front, toes up to your wrists. You can shake your head out. Be purposeful in your breathing here, especially if you're feeling like, this is a lot today. It's new in my body for the first time in a long while or first time ever. Your best friend is where you put your gaze and that your breath is steady. And when it's not steady, that you let yourself just take a big sigh. Okay, release your hands from beneath your feet, crow pose or handstand, you choose. Set yourself up. Crow pose can also be done seated. A seated crow pose looks like this: legs in a diamond shape, arms in between your knees, arms pressing against your knees and your knees against your arms. You'll feel your core activate right here. And that's the same energy you'll need when you're doing this on your hands another time. That's it. Breathe right here. Hold that pose, whatever it is, for 3 more breaths. Stay with it too. Then we drop into the plank from there, chest forward, 1 leg at a time. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take a breath in and out, look forward, jump up to your hands. Now, these balancing poses, you can also do lying down on your back. So standing or lying on your back, eagle pose, right leg over your left leg, right arm underneath of your left arm for eagle pose, lying down or standing up. You choose. Set it up. Right leg over, right arm under. Now bring your breathing. Sometimes when you practice, the thing that requires your presence is your breath. It's just not maybe flowing. You're just relying on your outside everyday breathing. And then the practice becomes more depleting physically. Bring your breathing. Every time you notice yourself not breathing, just start again. Step out and switch sides. Left arm under, left leg over. If you find yourself not sweating in class, bring your breathing. It's like not a problem this morning. Sometimes it is though. Sometimes you can be practicing. It's like nothing is going on. That happens to me. And then I realize, okay, I'm thinking, I don't have my gaze set and I don't have my breath set. Step out, arms overhead, hug your right knee into your chest. Continue to hold your knee or hold your foot and extend your knee. You could use a strap to hold your foot. Gaze on one point and breathe right here. Leg extended in front of you and just let yourself shape around the pose. Adapt. As you get adapted, find more space in the pose. Let your right hip settle toward the floor. Your right shoulder to the back of the room. Okay, you can open your leg to the right. Look and reach to the left. Breathe here. For most everybody, as I look around the group, shoulders up to your ears and to the back of your body. So there's a broad quality across your chest. Come forward, hug your knee into your chest. Reach back for airplane pose. Arms back, right leg back. Now take your shoulders up to the sky, April. For everybody else, the ceiling. And then back. That's it. Hands to prayer position. Half moon. Bring your left fingertips to the blocker floor, other arm in the air. And then while you're holding the pose, set your gaze on one point. And then without changing your gaze, just from your felt sense, an inner sense of knowing where your body is, wiggle the toes of the lifted foot and then activate your foot. and take your leg a little bit higher. Now, if you're able, look up to the ceiling. You can keep your gaze there if that's where you need it. One more breath. 2 feet down and hang. Good work. You need your strap, grab it, come up to standing and hug your left knee into your chest, standing leg raise. Also could do this one lying on your back. So hug your left knee, hold your foot and extend your leg. So there's a big hamstring stretch available in the kicking leg when you have connection to your kicking foot. When you don't, then there's a lot of strength that you can build. Both work. You can open your leg to the left, look and reach to the right. Press down, Kevin, and reach your head up. You got it. When you find yourself wiggling in these poses, from the center of you out to all of the periphery, reach as far as you can. Your balance will come back. Bring your leg forward, hug your knee, airplane pose. So we could have more breath in the space. Hands to prayer position. Nice, Josh. Half moon. Right arm down, left arm up. Yeah, so full expression. That's it. Reach to your fingertips. Reach to your, you reach. You'll have it. Reach, stretch for it. And your toes. That's it. Now hold that. 3 more breaths. You got it. No, you have it. Press out. Even if you bend your arm, press out. Bend your arm, touch your chest. 1 more breath. Okay, fold. Come up to standing, arms overhead. Standing bow pose will take 1 set. Right arm behind you. You want your shoulder rolling back. Bend your knee, hold your ankle from the inside. Left arm in the air and start with your knees together. Tempting to let it flare out to the side. Start together and breathe. I'm going to help you switch your grip here. Right there. Feel the difference in your shoulder. And I'm going to change yours too, Cece. Spin. There you go. Okay. Kick back and kick forward. This is one of those poses for sure in the balance where you won't be able to hold your balance without your gaze on one point. And then a quality of from the center to the periphery, full body expression. So get to whatever is the deepest pose for you, stay with it, and then kick up again. It's not a favorite here this morning, this pose. 2 more breaths. Full expression, kick, Cece, and reach, stretch your body, and step out. This is definitely one of those poses where you don't want your reaction to be, oh, my lower back, but you definitely want it to be, whoa, I have to set my gaze and catch my breath. You can feel that when you come out of it, one side of the body flushing. Do the other side, left arm back. So your shoulder rolls back. Yep, perfect. Knees together. Press, back, stretch forward, and then up. You got it. Breathe. Give me your hand right here. Press. It'll make it a little easier. Press as hard as you need to, but kick also. Stay with the pose. Set your gaze and breathe. Take yourself to the edge of your pose. Go to the edge. Keep breathing. Kick up and pull back. Stretch, Cece. Stretch, stretch. 2 more breaths here. Keep stretching and kicking. Nice work. Step out. Really good. Put your feet on the floor and your hands on your hips and let yourself settle. You always hear people in yoga talking about being grounded. It does literally mean get connected to the floor and settle your breath. Tree pose. Stay on your left foot. Bring the sole of your right foot to your left inner thigh. Take your hands around behind your back into prayer position. It may be low and just your middle fingers touching. It may be high up your back. Once you get your hands set, shoulders back. Press your standing foot down into the mat. Once your foot is pressing, lift your gaze and your chest up to the ceiling. Keep your prayer hands and then start to lift your chest more and look back a few more rows of lights on the ceiling. You'll feel more stretching in your arms. Breathe. And switch sides. Right foot down, left foot up. And set your hands behind your back. Gaze on one point. Here's an excellent place to practice pressing your standing foot down into the mat. Lift the pit of your belly. Lift the pit of your belly. There's so much power in lifting that. And then step out. Come to the front of your mat and sweep your arms overhead, stretch up. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Then lift up halfway, low plank as you exhale. Upward facing dog, breathe in. Downward facing dog, breathe out. Step your right foot forward. Keep your breath flowing. Build your triangle pose, breath by breath. So take a long stride. This is one for a really long stride. Right hand on the block or floor. I'll tell you when I'm setting this up for myself, I really concentrate on the front leg and getting the forward fold quality of it. And then turning, because the pose wants to have a deep crease in the hip, different from a bend in the waist. Now anchor the four corners of both of your feet. In fact, you can lift your 10 toes in the air, and that'll help you get very related to your feet. Breathe. You might start to really feel your inner thigh stretching. And then you can drop your head back and look back. Keep breathing. One more breath. And come up to standing. Face the long left side of your mat for a wide leg forward fold. Feet should be parallel to the short sides of your mat. Come all the way down into the forward fold and walk your arms in front of you as far as they'll go so that all that's touching the floor of your hand is your fingertips. Breathe here for a moment, just stretching from your hips down the side of your body all the way through to your fingertips. When your body gets easy about it, it has enough space, maybe tippy toe your fingertips another fingertip or two forward and get more length in the side of your body. So you feel like there's a tug of war between your hips and your fingertips. Take a few more breaths and really concentrate in your rib cage. Walk your hands back, come up to standing, turn to face the front of the mat for standing single leg forward fold. The default in this is to take a really short stance. It still needs to be a little long so that you have to work to get your hips square. Then hands into prayer position behind your back, forward fold over your front leg. So this is also a fold. We want the crease of the hip going back. One of the ways to really get the felt sense of this pose is to concentrate in your feet, the four corners of both of your feet. Even here, you can lift your 10 toes in the air and start to really get acquainted with how your lower body is working. Keep your breath flowing. Are your feet working equally, front foot, back foot? Once you've got your feet working equally and you're pressing them down into the ground and you can really feel the heat coming up your legs into your hips, you're ready for twisting triangle. Keep your legs working like you have them. Left fingertip on the block or floor. Long body, and then start the rotation to the right. That's it, April. Keep breathing and pressing your 2 feet equally. And every time you exhale, you can turn a little bit more. Take yourself to your maximum rotation. Stay with it. And then your back left rib cage, just get into curiosity as you breathe, how this area of your body is lengthening and stretching. Stay here for a sigh. A breathe in and a sigh. Unwind, hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Left side triangle. Step your left foot forward. Keep your breath flowing. Every change you make to your body as you're building this pose, do it to an inhale or an exhale. Rob, you can go longer in your feet. You might feel more steady longer. And you've got your block back here, so use it. Give yourself some more support. You can make it taller. Go longer, Joshua. So your back foot, yeah, open it a little more. Yes. Do you feel your front inner thigh more? Good, we're looking for that. 10 toes in the air. Work your feet and breathe. Keep that front leg lengthening, Themi, so your left hip keeps moving back to the back of the room. Get the inner thigh lengthened. Sit, Ruben. Keep breathing. Breathing. This keeps coming back, so this stays long. Come on up to standing. Face the long right side of your mat. Wide leg forward fold all of the way down. Walk your hands forward, but keep the weight in your feet. Then once you're here with your hands walked forward and the weight in your feet, look at your left foot, bend your knee so your left heel comes off of the ground. Keep your left hand where it is. With your right hand, reach underneath of your left arm and hold your left foot near the heel if you can. Take a breath in. As you exhale, press your heel down and you'll feel it turn your body a little more. Breathe right here. Looking for a long right side of your body as you breathe. Be aware that the weight's even in both of your feet. Your pelvis is staying level. Kevin, can you look under your arm? Yes. Breathe. Keep some weight in this leg too, because we're looking for this. One more inhale, one more exhale, then hands in front of you again. Set back to neutral. Bend your right knee so your right heel comes off of the ground. Reach underneath of your right hand with your left hand and hold that heel. So you're kind of at a maximum here. Inhale, exhale, press your heel down and it drags you deeper into the twist. So you might notice things like from your right hand all the way back to your pelvis is length. You might start to notice all the opening in your back left rib cage as you're in this twist. One more breath. Can you feel that, Laura? Unwind. Come on up to standing. Turn to face the front of your mat. Standing single leg forward fold with your hands in prayer position behind your back. Set yourself up. And fold. Very interesting pose to have at least your top foot, your front foot's 5 toes in the air. So even out the weight between your 2 legs. Sometimes we end up with all the weight in the front, sometimes all the weight in the back. So bring it forward a bit. Bring your weight forward. You know what, Cece, you can bring this foot right here. Give yourself more space under the pose. That's it. Do you feel the stretching from your front heel up the back of your leg to your sitting bone? Okay, your legs are set. Twisting triangle. Right hand on the block or floor. So keep your legs. So the default in this pose is to start bringing the weight into your front leg and swinging your hip to the left toward the street. Keep dragging your hip straight back. Your left hip straight back. Pressing your front foot down. Left foot straight back. Push your big toe down, Thummy. You'll feel it a little different in your hand. Yes, right there. Okay, unwind. Hands to the floor. Downward facing dog. Take a breath, maybe a sigh. Come to a high plank and lower down to your belly on the mat. Locust pose. We're going to take one locust pose, but hold it for a little longer period of time. Reach behind your back and interlace your hands. My preference is you have chaturanga legs here so that your toes are turned under and your legs are active. Of course, the classic way is to press your big toes down, and that's fine too. Lift up. I like this way because it trains us about the basics of a back bend as we enter all these back bends, where your legs need to be strong, your feet parallel to one another. So you can imagine your feet pressing on the back wall of the room. Breathe. You can feel your tailbone and your heels and your hands moving back. Chest moving forward. One more breath. Come on down. Floor bow pose. Bend your knees. Reach back and hold your ankles from the outside, palms facing in. Roll your shoulders back. Helpful to flex your feet and wake up your toes. Then try to relax your arms. Sometimes we get our arms get anxious. Relax your arms, then kick back and up. Do you notice some of you that your knees get really wide while you're in the pose? Try to keep them only hip width distance, and then breathe. Peel these out and then press this up. Yeah, right there. It doesn't even have to be that you curl, but put attention here. You'll feel your inner thighs working. You can hug. That's it. 3 more breaths. That's crazy, isn't it? 2 more. 1 more. Come on down. Wave your feet from side to side. Hands on the floor by your bottom ribs, upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Camel pose, just 1 set. You'll kneel down, turn your toes under for stability, knees hip width distance. Then start by pressing your knees into the mat, but lifting your chest up to the ceiling. Get a sense of that. You might even want to drag your own fingertips up the side body, up to your armpit to get this sense of being as tall as you can be. Then hands to your hips or to your heels. Whichever stage of the pose you've set up for yourself, take yourself to your most extreme and then breathe there. I know I feel it in my neck stretching across my chest. Nice modification there, Mike. I like it. The toes, he's got his toes on his block, so his heels are more accessible. Knees down into the mat, chest up to the ceiling. Come up out of the pose, downward facing dog. Nice, Donna. Good stretch there on that. Okay, jump through your hands, sit down, roll onto your back. Once you get onto your back, bend your knees, feet flat on the floor for bridge pose. You can press down and lift your hips up. Once you get up into the bridge pose, tuck your shoulders deep underneath of your body. Not a lot of takers on this. Press down and rise up. Bridge pose. Once you get into your bridge pose, lift your 10 toes in the air. Just your toes. And then imagine you're pulling your heels back to your shoulders. Let your legs wake up, warm up into a degree of awakeness, aliveness you haven't yet felt this morning. Then bring your right knee into your chest as far as it will go and stretch your toes up to the ceiling like you're going to touch your big toe on the ceiling, and then return that foot to the floor. Let's do the other side. Left knee deep into your chest, toe up to the ceiling like you're going to press a button with your big toe. Knee into your chest, foot on the floor, come back down. Knees go side to side. Bridge pose, set it up. Right up into the bridge pose. Once you get into the bridge pose, get it all set up, your shoulders under your back, stay there, or hands to the ceiling, then hands on the floor under your shoulders for wheel. Set your hands wide and go. Press down, rise up. Get a sense of how you are and where you are here. And you may realize the next time you take the pose in just a moment to set your hands and your feet wider. Tuck your chin and come on down. Joshua, go with a wider set. You're going to have better access. Let's set it up again. Bridge pose. You can stay with the bridge or move into the wheel. You might tippy toe and walk your hands in closer to your feet. Tuck your chin and come on down. Knees go side to side. Set it up again. Hands, feet on the floor. Press down. Rise up. So lately, I'm just so curious about stretching the whole front of my body, and I'll access it here by tippy-toeing, walking my hands in closer to my heels, breathing, getting the pose a little more collected, and then press the heels down. You'll feel your thighs stretch. Tuck your chin and come on down. Knees go side to side. Take 2 more of these. Set it up. Hands, feet on the floor. Try a really wide spacing between your hands. Nice, Ruben. Press into your big toe, into your thumb. Breathe here for 3 breaths. Really press into your big toes. 2 more. Last one, tuck your chin and come down. That was a good one. You got 1 more to go. Set it up. Hands, feet on the floor. Press down, rise up. Now, if you want to raise a leg in the air, start with your knee into your chest, knee bent as far as it'll go. It releases the hamstring. Hold on, bring it in a little further. Now stretch your heel up, 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 up. There you go. Okay, come on down. Good work. Supta Baddha Konasana. You see when you lift it straight off the floor, you kind of get stuck with your hip flexor. So bring it in and then stretch. Relax here. Dead bug pose. You can hold the outer edges of your feet and pull your knees back to your shoulders. Feels pretty good to rock side to side in this. And then with all that front opening, poses that stabilize the core are required next. Legs straight up in the air. You can let go of your feet. Then reach for your big toes, so curl up. Try to reach your big toes. This is as low and unwound as you'll get in this exercise. Every time you exhale, you can blow out through your mouth and try to touch your toes. We'll do that 10 times. So do a few practice runs. Blow out and try to touch your big toe. Not a big unwinding though. No head to the mat. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Go, Rob. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees into your chest. Then legs up in the air. Keep your left leg in the air. Let your right leg hover as low over the mat as you cannot feel your lower back. You don't want your lower back arcing here. Then curl up and reach for your foot. Then take your hands on the outside of your foot. So your right pinky finger is reaching for your left baby toe. Ready? Inhale, exhale, and try to touch your left baby toe. Go for 10, 9, 8, 7. Blow out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees. Switch your legs. Other baby toe. Curl up. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees and rock head to tail back and forth 3 or 4 times. I like a lot of rocking here. It feels really good on my back at this point. All the way then through to downward facing dog. When you get to the downward facing dog, set up the right side pigeon pose. Now know this about pigeon pose, that from the bird's eye view, like looking down on you from the ceiling, both sides of your pelvis should be level. So while we're taking this right side, you want your right hip sitting on the ground. Lift it and put a towel, block, something under your right hip. You intensify this pose by squaring your shin more to the front of your mat. And that may have you up off the ground and needing a block under your hip. Then you could, with your left hand, capture your left foot and fold down and bring your left heel towards your hip. That'll give you more stretching in your back left thigh. There should be enough sensation somewhere in your body in this pose that it calls your attention. Let that sensation, so not pain, but definitely sensation, a space that feels closed, that as you breathe, it starts to open. Let that sensation serve as an anchor, as a tool to guide you into what is presence. Sometimes we are talking to ourselves in our heads and telling ourselves we're present, and the very nature of that is not present. A lot of people talk about they come to yoga to clear their mind and get into a calm mental space. And pose by pose, breath by breath, that's just a muscle we strengthen. So set yourself in this opening pose in such a way that a part of your body is drawing your attention and holding it here. Switch sides. Sometimes people will ask me, can't we just switch it up and make it a little bit more interesting? One of my friends who teaches, her name is Paige, she started the Africa Yoga Project. One time she said something in class that I was taking, and it just has always stuck with me. She said, if you think the practice is boring, it's not boring, you're boring. I was like, what? That's so rude. And then I thought about it. I was like, oh, I guess that is me making it boring. Like there are infinite things right now that are interesting in your own breath and in your own body. For me, I was just choosing not to be interested in what was interesting. I was choosing to be in my head and deciding whether I was entertained or not. That's the nice thing about having a sequence that's pretty recognizable each time, and yet there's some variation. Take your back foot. If you have the aptitude, the ability in your body to take your back foot with you, take your back foot. Another little yoga cliche I hear often is, if you can, you must. That's a good guiding tool for me, especially on the days where I'm really stuck, where I'm like, oh, this is boring. It's taking a long time, because sometimes it shows up for me like that. Then I realize I've got to breathe. I've got to focus my attention, and I've got to take myself physically to the places where there's sensation in the pose and hold myself there. Okay, sit on your left cheek, swing your right leg around for the seated single leg extension. So a long right leg, a bent left leg, fold over your right leg. Left hand to hold the baby toe side of your right foot. So it's a forward fold. A forward fold is separating the space, more space between your right heel and your right sitting bone. You can bend your knee. A lot of us need to bend our knee for this. It's helpful to put support under your knee, like a water bottle is a really good tool here. And then find the space in your body that feels not spacious. Usually it's my left lower back. And this actually is one of my favorite poses for this reason. And then breathe and bring more space into your left lower back. If you don't feel that tightness there in the pose, that's just a matter of how we're lining the pose up. And usually it has to do with your right foot. Let's switch sides. It's like if you got into that and you're like, I don't really feel anything, then really put attention on your foot, your left foot this time. What is the attention? Well, when we're not putting our attention on, the foot is kind of sleepy and it's dropping off to the side. When you really square it up, heel to the floor, toes to the ceiling, you'll feel that in a new way in your hamstrings. If you can't quite reach your foot, you could always use a towel or a strap wrapped around your foot. You can bend your knee too if you'd like. And then sometimes you just reach to the outside of your calf. That works too, just like you're doing. Let me pull your baby toes back. You're way too experienced for that. Come on up. 2 legs in front of you, forward fold. You gather your pelvis underneath of you and behind you. So you got sitting bones back, heels forward, forward fold. Sometimes I'll do this pose with my hands interlaced behind me so that I really have to work the length of my back while I take the forward fold. And it's a very interesting challenge. I can really feel the whole back of my legs as I work to keep my body long and take it truly as a forward fold. Different from reach for your toes, pull your belly back and drop your chin, ragdoll, seated ragdoll. This feels good too, it's just different. Breathe here. Then lean back for a reverse tabletop. Bend your knees, put your feet on the floor and just lift up. As you press your feet down, let your chest open, the fronts of your shoulders, your biceps. Take a couple of sighs. It's a weird position to put your body in, but yet there's something so great that can open up here. Then sit down, roll onto your back, and roll your feet overhead for plow pose. You are, of course, welcome to take waterfall, flat on your back with your legs straight up in the air. Get a really strong base built here. Shoulders deep under you. Bend your elbows and hold your lower back. Feel stable there, April. You can always bring your hands to your lower back. Yeah, there. You can stay in the plow or take your legs up in the air to the shoulder stand. If your legs are up in the air, I bet you can see your toes. Keep your feet really active. Pick whichever position they'll be in, but keep them then active there and breathe. Doesn't mean the pose is like frozen like a stone. It just means that it's in a still but easeful space. So it's relatively still. Bring your feet back to the floor if you're in shoulder stand for plow pose, and ultimately deaf man's pose, where your knees are by your ears. You can reach for your feet in this pose, and this is such an interesting pose, your body in its most C shape. So keep your attention on that C shape, but roll your body out of it one bone at a time until you're on your flat back. Once you get onto your, one bone at a time, it's tricky. Once you're on your flat back with your knees hugging into your chest, a simple twist. You can drop your knees to the right and look to the left. Bye, Mike. Once you get into the simple twist, really easy in your body, nothing forced, take a breath in and a sigh. Then switch sides. Set it up so it's just right for your body this morning. Take a breath in and a sigh. Then come to the center for Supta Baddha Konasana. So soles of your feet together, knees open wide. This is a nice place to start getting your body prepared for the coming Shavasana. So if you have the opportunity to Maybe lengthen your lower back a little bit more. You could do that here. Then once you have a sense that your body's well set up, take a breath in and exhale, and then set your body up into Shavasana. Arms and legs wide, palms face up to the ceiling. So make yourself comfortable. Make sure your body feels supported here. Once you have it all set up just right physically, inhale, exhale through your mouth. Let your body settle. Of all the poses, this is the pose where many of us are most likely to need to step out of our comfort zone to access presence. The pose is a deep rest pose. This is a space for you to be completely in your body, feeling what you feel, experiencing what you're experiencing, different from asleep or thinking. To access presence, be willing to come apart. Right here in this space on your mat right now, take a deep breath in. Exhale through your mouth and squeeze your fingers on your toes and just mark this space of presence physically. Hug your knees into your chest. Roll to your side and bring yourself up into a sitting position. Once you get seated, settle yourself. Tap into your presence again. Then inhale and reach your arms overhead. Exhale and bring your hands into prayer position and pause. From this space that you created, exactly the experience you needed this morning, set an intention for the rest of your day. Our themes that we were working with are presence, step out of your comfort zone, be willing to come apart. One more time, we'll chant Om. Take a deep breath in. Bring your thumb knuckles to the center of your forehead and inhale. Exhale through your mouth. Namaste.